Hello everyone, Storm1 here. Today we'll be having an update on a severe weather outbreak today and also tomorrow over portions of the central U.S. This will also bring potentially an historic blizzard over portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana. And this system can also bring wildfire issues over portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico as well. Before we get started this video, if you guys like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. We may not have an update on this system here tomorrow because I had to focus locally in my area as well tomorrow. So I may not have a video tomorrow. So this could be the last update for the storm system as well. But if there's any major changes tomorrow, I'll definitely let you guys know as well. I'm a little bit short on time today, so we're going to try to get this video done quickly, and we'll go over some of the more important stuff as well. So let's first get started with the storm prediction outlook. There is a moderate risk for severe weather over northwestern Iowa, with an enhanced risk over southern Minnesota, most of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, and northwestern Missouri. There's another enhanced risk area over parts of Texas as well. Here's the tornado risk probability here, and there's a 50% hatched area for northwestern Iowa. Damage winds will also be there, and there could also be hail. Some of it could be very large as well, where we'll likely see some strong updrafts with some of these storms as well. Tomorrow, there's another moderate risk for severe weather. It pretty much goes along the Mississippi River, along portions of southern Illinois and southwestern Indiana, western Kentucky, southeastern Missouri, western Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, northwestern Mississippi, and northeastern Louisiana as well, with an enhanced risk surrounding some of those areas as well. Here's the tornado probabilities. There is actually a 50% risk area over portions of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana as well. This is probably where we're going to see a better opportunity for more discrete storms as well, because as you get a little bit further north, there's some uncertainty for supercell development. As you get farther to the northeast as well, it may be more of a squall line threat as you get further north. But damage winds will be a big concern out there as well. With the hatched area, that's the possibility for significant winds that could be 75 miles per hour or greater as well. And there could be some hail out there as well, and there's that possibility for some significant hail over portions of the Mississippi River Valley as well. And then day 3, which is Thursday, March risk over portions of the East Coast as well. So let's check out the current environment right now. So this is surface-based cave. So we got a lot of instability already out there over parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and Arkansas. I even see a number of 4,000 joules per kilogram over parts for a small portion of Kansas and Oklahoma. I mean, that's a lot of instability. Now, the main focus for severe weather will be in this area up here. This warm front will continue to move to the northeast as well with time. Now, if you check out mixed layer cape, you can see here there is a lot of mixed layer cape out there as well. Generally 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram over parts of eastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, most of Oklahoma, down to portions of Texas as well. And this is just owing in the morning. We're not to the point where thunderstorms are beginning to blow up. This is still early in the day as well. For some areas, this is 1 o'clock their time, the time of making this video here. Mid-level lap rates are on the strong side as well. Give you guys a quick look at that real quick. The historic velocity values are pretty high out there. Anytime you get at least 150, that could be favorable for tornadoes. But when you get over a 400 to over a 500, I mean, that's strong wind shear. That is some pretty impressive wind shear out there as well. Here's the superset composite here. We got numbers as high as a 20 already. And here's the fixed layer significant tornado parameters. Over a 1, conditions can be favorable for tornadoes. Over a 2, conditions can be favorable for strong tornadoes. Now, we're not going to see much severe weather down here because there's other factors that can't prevent thunderstorm development over parts of Missouri. So some of these numbers can be misleading. I will warn the city service can be misleading. But as you get farther to the northwest, where the area that we're focused on, you know some of those numbers are pretty high already out there as well. And these numbers will continue to move to the north as well, and they will increase as the day goes on as well. So let's check out the HER model and the latest run here, 16Z. You can see here, about 8 hours from now, approximately, um, we do have thunderstorms that roll across southeastern South Dakota. Some of those can be severe, hail, damaged winds, even some tornadoes. But really, the area I'm really focused on is southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. You notice here that some supercells do begin to develop. But look what happens an hour later. Now you're starting to see a big supercell over northern Iowa, which the model has been very consistent with over the last several runs. So any organized storm that forms in this type of environment can be significant in a hurry, as well. It won't take too much before it becomes severe and even tornado warned as well, if it can get organized as well. You still got some supercells going on up in southern Minnesota, and meanwhile off to the west, you got thunderstorms that do develop along the dry line as well. And that's where you're going to get your significant damage with threat is from these storms out there as well. And you can see how they do continue to push further to the east as well. And they do die down as we get into overnight hours as well. So let's check out some other ingredients here. If we go to about 23Z here with surface-based CAPE, there's a lot of instability out there. It's generally 2,500 to 3,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE. Let's see here. Let's see if there's other things here we can look at real quick. If we check out dew points at the surface, now something I do notice here along the dry line here, the dew points are not very high out there. They're not very high. There's going to be a decent amount of dry air out there as well, and that's also going to, along with that cap, you got a lot of dry air going on here as well. The elevated mix layer is going to be very strong as well, and that's going to help prevent some storms to get very organized or maybe not even develop that much at all. So that's why the confidence is very low here, because if the models, number one, underestimate the dew points, or number two, overestimate the cap, there can still be some big thunderstorms over portions of Kansas, Oklahoma. But right now, doesn't look like that may or may not happen, at least for now. We got National Research offices here getting weather balloon data over some of these areas here as well. And we have to watch that cap very closely as well, because even with these areas here, you got your high end potential and your bust potential. Bust potential would be you got a strong cap that's in place and a lot of dry air going on the low levels. It might just be blue skies. Your high potential, there's a lot more moisture going on and the cap is weaker. You can have big thunderstorms out there as well, and that could lead to a potential severe weather outbreak. So it's going to be very difficult to forecast these areas here, but we'll be watching it very closely as well as the day does go on as well. You can see here as that dry line does get into that better moisture axis, we'll begin to see some thunderstorms develop at the same time as well. At least try to anyway. Which you can see here at the same time here, there's some thunderstorms developing a little bit farther to the south along the dry line as well. Also at the same time here, that cold front will kind of merge with the dry line further up north as well, which will help bring in some stronger updrafts along the line as well. So let's go ahead and check out significant weather parameters. And like I said earlier, of at least a 1, conditions can be favorable for tornadoes. But if you're over a 2, conditions can be favorable for strong tornadoes. We got numbers as high as an 8 or a 9. And those are some very high numbers. I haven't seen numbers this high in a pretty long time. So it's definitely not often you see numbers this high here. And we checked out the current significant weather parameter values. We already have numbers as high as a 4, which is double what you would need for the possibility for strong tornadoes. If we get an average box sounding over central Iowa here, where some of these sorts may try to form, look at this sounding here. I mean, this is a loaded gun sounding here. Pretty much everything is here. You've got a very large hodograph. There's a large curvature to the hodograph. Wind direction of height. Storage velocity values are on the strong side, between 400 and 700. Downdraft cape is up to 1200. Plenty of instability. Mid-level operates is strong as well. So pretty much you got about everything here for a big severe weather event. It all depends on if you can get a thunderstorm to develop, or more specifically, an organized thunderstorm because of it. Well, I'm losing my words here. Let me rephrase. If any organized thunderstorm develops in this area here, it can get significant in a hurry as well. So if we also check out a little bit of a different product here, here's the specific to our parameters again here, playing it through here. As you get to overnight hours, those numbers really begin to back off. But I want to show you guys the updraft velocity here in the lower levels. This gives you a better idea here of the possibility for tornadoes within some of these storms here. Check this out. Where you see these very high numbers here, these little streaks here of high numbers here, that's indicate for strong rotating thunderstorms as well. You do see some very high numbers in the low levels as well. That could be an indication for possibility for strong tornadoes out there as well. So, given that said here, you probably see a couple storms out there that does have the potential to produce long track, potentially strong to intense tornadoes out there as well. So if you live over portions of northern Iowa, even western Iowa, maybe in the portions of southeastern South Dakota and southern Minnesota, definitely pay attention to the radar. Also, be sure to have a way to get warnings as well later today, because if you get under tornado warning, definitely take action as well, because these thunderstorms can get a little bit nasty out there later today as well. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Wednesday set. Well, actually, let's focus on the server mode here for today. You did notice on the SPC Outlook there's actually an enhanced risk area over the Dallas and Fort Worth area, which the Herbal does show some big thunderstorms developing in that area as well. And they can all cluster up as well into a pretty decent Mexico convective system, or a MCS. Some of these storms are able to try to affect the environment in the morning hours as well. I did not mean to click that. Um, but anyway, here, you notice here some of the remains in the MCS does affect some areas a little bit further to the east as well, which does lead to some absurdity here for areas later down the road over portions of Kentucky and Tennessee as well for instability for the next day. So it's also important to kind of watch and see how these storms here kind of go as well, because they can affect the severe weather setup the next day as well, because if they linger a little bit longer than expected here, for some areas, the instability values may not be as high as anticipated as well. And you can see as you move on to the next day here, which is Wednesday here, you get this big squall line here that develops along the cold front here, extending from central Indiana through southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, down to eastern Arkansas. But you also do notice here, there's another area of thunderstorms that do develop out ahead of the squall line. These will be the storms I'll focus on for any potential supercells out there as well. Because if they could stay discreet here, you might be able to see some long track supercells that could go over possibly multiple states out there as well, out ahead of your main squall line here. Does not necessarily mean that we're going to see a repeat of December 10th and 11th outbreak. I've got a question with that earlier today, talking about would this would be similar to the December 10th and 11th outbreak, because I know some people are wondering that question, and no, it's not. The December 10th and 11th outbreak was a little bit more of a unique setup. Number one, it was a positively tilt trough. With this setup here, you're talking about a negatively tilt trough as well. And it does lead to a different severe weather setup here. But regardless here, if it's going to be similar to December 10th and 11th outbreak or not, this will still be a significant severe weather event. So keep in mind of that as well. If we kind of go back a little bit earlier in the day here, if you check out surface-based CAPE, you can see here a little bit earlier in the day here, there's already a lot of instability out here in place here. Generally 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. This is earlier in the day here. So at about 1 or 2 p.m. approximately. You can see as you get later in the day here, there are some spots there that do try to peak at 4,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE as well. But if we look into some of those instability values earlier in the day here, so right now we're about at 17Z here, where some of the models, or at least for the current environment anyway, show a little area here of 4,000 joules per kilogram. Well, the her model is actually off by 1,000, so there's a possibility that some of these models here might be a little bit off with the instability today. It might underestimate it just a little bit as well, and that kind of leads to some questions for the next day as well. Something I've been noticing though is that the instability values, at least the 1,000 plus anyway, has been getting more expansive further to the east as well. So we have to wait and see if any thunderstorms may try to develop well out ahead of the cold front as well. So that's another thing to monitor closely as well. And you can see here how the instability values really begin to back off as you get into the overnight hours as well. So let's check out the significatory parameters. So here you go here. There's later today, some pretty high numbers. If we do get something out there real quick here to show you guys what I'm talking about here. Okay, when it comes to the cap here, you can see here, going back a little bit here, in eastern Kansas, there's a lot of dry air going on here. Anytime where the dew point line and temperature line is a bit farther apart, that's where you have a lot of dry air. So not only you have that, you also got a cap in here place as well. And that really, so if you put those two kind of together here, thunderstorms are going to have a really hard time developing in this environment here. But we do need to pay attention to them soundings very closely because some models may underestimate that as well. So, or overestimate, I should say, as well. Okay, so now you move on to Wednesday here. So this is about peak time heating here. Check out these significatory parameter values out here. You got some pretty high numbers. Then again, over some of these areas here, like I was talking about earlier with that 1,000 plus joules per kilogram, you can see here how pretty expansive this 1 plus is. So we may need to pay attention to any possible source that may try to format here, which currently doesn't look like we'll see that. Some of them might be capped out there as well, which here's a box down here across western Kentucky. So there's some weak capping out there. But then again, we'll have to wait and see if any thunderstorms try to develop in this environment as well, because this may have the potential to produce hail, tornadoes. Some of those could be strong as well. As you can see there with storage velocity values, some of it's at least 400 out there as well. So that's another thing to really focus on as well. Let's try to get a box setting out here before some of these storms here do begin to initiate. So northeastern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri. So storage velocity values, not very high, but still favorable for tornadoes or severe weather in general. Generally anywhere from 200 to 400. That's just a general there. Decent hodograph there. You got plenty of instability going on here. Downdraft Cape is also favorable for damage winds as well. That's another product to focus on as well for the squall line, because if we do begin to see pretty high downdraft Cape values, that can increase your significant damage wind potential with that squall line as well. So we definitely need to watch the downdraft Cape product for this one as well, or D Cape. And there's also plenty lap rates will be on the stronger side as well. So then again, pretty much everything's there for pretty big severe weather outbreak. Then again, for Wednesday here, you can see here then again, so pretty high significant weather parameter values. A lot of these here will be kind of contaminated here, but regardless, still favorable for the possibility for large hail, damage of winds, and tornadoes, and some of those can be strong as well. You can see as you get deeper to the overnight hours, you notice here how those significant parameter values really begin to back off as well. And let's check out the updraft velocity swaths here at the lower levels to kind of get you an idea where we may see some rotating thunderstorms as well. Higher numbers, stronger the rotating thunderstorms are as well. And you can see here, not as impressive here as back it up in Iowa, which you can see some of the numbers out there back in the 12Z run. But there's also some pretty decent numbers here going over portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, which is interesting here. But we do have the potential for some discrete cells. There are some isolated streaks here where we do have some higher numbers out there as well, which indicates the possibility for some stronger rotating thunderstorms as well. So that's another thing to focus on. Now, this could change here. We're still a few, well, generally about 48 hours away from this event here. So some things could change here. Keep in mind that. But they've also been very consistent with this as well. So we definitely really need to watch the trends here very closely here. So kind of going back here. So pretty much overall. So for today, if you live in the enhanced, moderate risk, even in the slight risk area, pay attention to the severe weather forecasts later today. Also be sure to have a way to get warnings out there as well, because for some areas it could turn ugly in a hurry. Similar situation for tomorrow. If you live in the slight risk, enhanced, or the moderate risk, pay attention to those forecasts, and also be sure to have a way to get warnings as well, because tomorrow could also be another nasty day as well. Severe weather won't be the only problem here. We got fire weather problems. There's actually an extreme risk for fire weather over southwestern Kansas, western Oklahoma, northwestern Texas as well for today. So if you live even in the elevated risk or the extreme risk or the critical risk, be sure don't burn anything. Conditions could be favorable for fire weather issues. There's a critical risk area for tomorrow over portions of Texas and New Mexico, and that's the same situation pretty much for day 3 as well. So then again, if you live in the critical risk or the extreme risk over the next couple days, just please don't burn anything, or else you may cause a potential major wildfire. So please do not do that. And fire weather, severe weather won't be the only thing. Last thing, the winter side of the system can be historic as well. Check out these snowfall amounts from the HER model. I mean, you're talking about snowfall amounts. Have we seen the NAM the other day showing snowfall amounts up to 44 inches, which is pretty ridiculous here. I think this is a bit of a more accurate look here. If you've seen the National Weather Service forecast for Bismarck, North Dakota, they have snowfall forecasted up to 40 inches of snow, along with the possibility for wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour. That's, my friends, a true brutal blizzard. So, if you live generally most of North Dakota, the northwestern part of South Dakota, southeastern Montana, maybe even the northwestern part of Minnesota, be ready for a possibility for a power outage, and also be ready for the potential to be snowed in as well. Some of them snow drifts can be pretty tall out there as well. So be sure you also have plenty of food and water as well, and also have a way to warm yourself up as well. Maybe like a blanket, or maybe a furnace or something like that as well. So just be prepared for a significant blizzard up there as well. But anyways, guys, that's all for guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button. If you're new at my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you got some questions about this, put in the comment section down below. Alright, just got some questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.